Hey guys.
We live?
What's up? We are live.
Oh my God, Facebook, where you been? It's like, I hope we're live. Oh, just got the notification.
Were you,
Yesterday was frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. I was rather agitated by Facebook yesterday.
Oh yeah. Sorry guys, just real quick.
Yep, we're sharing it out.
What's up? Coach Carl? What's up, brother? Here we go. Putting it out. All right. So, Jim, thanks, buddy. We're in.
We're live. All right, shared.
Shared. Awesome. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Pretty.
Oops, wrong way.
Yeah.
Sorry, technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
We're getting a pretty unreal week in the Maltz household.
Oh yeah.
Family. Congrats, Randy, Rosie.
Oh. Yeah.
We'll put up at some point, I'm sure, but we have a new addition to the family. Pretty awesome. Not from us.
There's no new addition
new
here.
cousins, bigger family. We love it.
Even better, cousin.
It's awesome. Randy, Rosie, we love you. Sasha, can't wait to see you.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet you. We have another family announcement.
I know. It's awesome. Yeah, and we're going to post up about this for all our Jersey folk. This is cool.
Yes. Our cousin Calvin, who lives in Margate, New Jersey, is running for mayor. This is very exciting. So if you live in Margate and you're watching this, go check out Calvin Tessler.
Or you know anybody living in Margate.
Yes.
Vote for Donnelly. That's going to be fun. I'm going to be chirping him hard on that one.
I want to be on the campaign team.
Yeah. Fun show today. Important show today. Talking about where did the fire go in their eyes.
Where did the color go in my hair? Hold on. Sorry.
Need to get it updated?
Yes.
Updated? Okay. We'll do that. No, interesting time right now of you guys. I don't know if you had seen we put up that quote.
We tried to do this last week, and then Flumageddon hit the Maltzes.
Yeah, exactly. It was crazy.
But here we are.
But starting off, so basically, guys, where the concept came from was a lot of people ended up, getting fired up about this simple question, and no pun intended on that. And we ended up having Pavel Datsyuk in the hockey world, legend. Ended up playing. Yeah. What's great about him was he was a player that drafted in the 6th round of the NHL draft.
I did not know that.
Which was cool. Yeah. And ended up being absolutely one of the legends of the game. Offensively, stick handling wise, hands down, one of the best that ever played. Arguably,
his hands are so dirty.
He's easily one of the top ever. So he had an interesting. So in Russia, I ended up coming across on Instagram. I saw a quote that had popped up from him in Russian. And I was trying to break it down and see it and go, all right, these words. And then I reached out. Nikita, thank you, brother. Reached out to one of my students and was like, "Hey, can you translate this?" Like, he's over at Penn State.
What a terrible Russian you are! Shouldn't you have been able to read that?
I wish I could have, but it's like the words that are like more technically like.
For those of you who don't know, he can speak
intelligent Russian. Yeah, I can speak like the street. No, I can read it. It's just some of the words. I'm like, I don't understand what that means. I can explain it.
And that's different than English when you read.
Exactly. So, but it was a cool quote. And basically, here's what it translated out to. There are a lot of problems in youth hockey. Not enough ice, corrupted money, coaches with little paychecks. But most importantly, the kids themselves don't have the fire in their eyes. I see it in the eyes of their parents that make their kids play so that they could fulfill their own dreams because they wanted to become hockey players but could not. So powerful of a statement, huge statement that gets put out there that – let me preface it by, is the passion as much or as deep as what you see in terms of parents fulfilling their dreams as hockey players, as prevalent in North America or in America and the States and all that stuff? I don't think it's as deeply passionate culturally. I think we have two different worlds, obviously, from America to Russia. But one thing I know about Russians for sure, very much about the concept of, hey, culturally, sport and hockey and oh my God. So powerful statement.
Sport is very important.
Huge. In my household, grew up, right? We how many times we talked about this of where my family felt sport, right? Sport, my dad would look at sport was way more important than education, right? It's just the way he felt at that time of like sport. It was like, oh my God.
And we used to go at it, me and your dad. We used to like get into these like intense, although I feel like every conversation with your family ends up being intense.
Well,
but it'd be like an intense conversation about why you shouldn't put sports. And I guess it's not necessarily why you shouldn't put sports above education, because I don't just, when I speak of education, I don't just mean school education.
Exactly.
But, you know.
Well, here's the irony, right? Is like, and there's so much data to show this, right? Is that it's like the way with all of our players, the way we'll point it out, especially to our, bloodliners, that it's like, okay, you're looking to achieve this level. Well, hockey or school, whatever you want to take it, is 1A and the other one is 1B. Hockey and school, 1A, 1B. They're both intertwined. They're both equally important in terms of the amount of effort you have to give, how hard you have to work at both. One doesn't trump the other.
But is that, and I always ask
if you're
this.
At that, yeah.
I always ask this because I always go like, at what age does that take effect?
Yeah.
Because I think it's important to recognize that, like, you shouldn't, in my opinion, at 6 years old, it's not 1A, 1B. It's like, go have fun and go live your life.
100%. And it's more, again, high school, right? We talk about this all the time, of that U16 in the hockey world, about high school. As a general guideline, high school is where it begins. Okay, time to start making choices about your life of what do you really want to do? What do you really want to commit to? By the time you hit high school, you've got to commit. Like, it's time to like, okay, I'm making a commitment here. That's typically the age. Everything younger, oh yeah, that's what we're going to get into and all of that reality. But I think where we miss the boat a lot, and this is something, actually, I have a book called The Performance Cortex, and I haven't had a chance to dive into it yet. But that's where the argument I make is that academics and all that, it's all great. Like, I think there's an intertwined reality between understanding doing something physically, learning how to move your body physically is an equal intelligence to what you do mentally. So just sitting there mentally and being an academic and doing nothing physically to learn about your body and learn, I think we're doing a major disservice to the development of the human spirit.
The newer schools that are coming out, they don't just have them sitting there anymore. Like, it's more engaging, more interactive, more, it may not be physical, like you're sweating.
No, exactly.
Or like pushing yourself to a place of physical challenge, but it's more engaging.
Exactly. Did you see Brilliant? I think it was I don't know if it was Japan or a school. This was pretty awesome. I had seen if somebody correct me if you have seen this video on Facebook or circulating anywhere, but the principal ended up, it was pretty crazy. The principal had the whole school of kids, took them outside, and literally they were doing a dance with the kids. Like, it was like kind of like their break, but they all did this dance together, and it was badass. I saw that that's education.
Prison inmates.
You saw prison inmates do that?
Yeah,
same thing?
They choreographed like a whole routine.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, the connection of education between the physical, what we do, and the mental part of the studying, they're intertwined. It makes a difference. Just huge believer in that, of everybody should be moving. Everybody should be learning how to have intelligence of their body along with their mind. Understanding what your body's capable of provides you a whole nother source of energy and intelligence that...
Well-rounded is a word that comes to mind.
Exactly.
Balance and well-rounded.
Exactly. Very important on that end. But anyway, the whole point of today is, where did the fire go? Right? A big part that I zoned in on is that the kids themselves don't have the fire in their eyes. And we got a lot of great comments that ended up coming up. Some of the guys, Coach Carl, what's up? What's up, Jim? How you doing? Things like Kim. Hi, Eli. Connor, what's up, brother? What's up? Is it Jan or Jan? I forget how it's pronounced, brother. It's been a while on that end. Jeffrey, what's up? Aaron, what up? What up? Tobias, how we doing, guys? Good morning. Roderick, hello. Lauren, hello. Being coach, yep. Counting on others, haven't counting you. Oh, yeah. All kinds of stuff on that end we're going to dive into.
Oh, yeah.
But where did the fire go? So many good comments that got thrown out in that post. Where did the fire go? What's caused that? Right? What's caused the...
Yeah, and feel free to share with us in the comments too. Where did the fire go? Where do you think?
Where do you think? Let's touch on that
too. Please share with us so that we can,
yeah,
involve you in this discussion this morning.
Exactly.
Where are you in the spectrum of?
Exactly. So, where did the fire go? And there was different. I think one of the comments that was interesting came from Lee Dean. One of my boys played together back in the day.
I always remember his dog.
Oh my God.
Didn't his dog eat a mattress?
Eat the mattress. He ate half the bed straight up. It was a
I
lab.
went to visit. I remember this.
It was a lab, beautiful chocolate lab. And literally we came home from a road trip and literally half his bed was gone. It was gone. Half his bed was eaten by the dog.
Yeah, I remember that dog.
Keats was awesome. He was
Keats, yeah.
Keats. Oh yeah, he was awesome. He was a nut.
Did you ever have a dog eat a bed?
It was intense to see, like, walk in and be like, we were dying. We were chirping him for like ever. Like, wow, your bed is gone.
I would think that causes quite a bit of constipation for an animal.
He was
Like, how do you digest mattress?
But he brought up something that was, brilliant in terms of, this is a huge thing of one of many reasons, but here was one major reason, right? Was that the kids now today, there's no missing the game anymore. You have a full year now at the youth level. So we're talking about U8, U10, U12, U14. You have so many options to just keep the party going. You just keep going. You start from September and you can go all the way through August.
Or here, type in the comments or let us know. Does your child that plays hockey, or if you're currently, do you ever have an off season? Any sport? Do you have an off season?
Do you have an off season? Right. And so it's exactly spot on of where I'm missing it. How much are you actually missing the season? And that's a big one, right? Because the adaptation, there's so much different, research that proves that of when you're away from something, you miss it, right? I gave the example of how it's a simple, for me, like in terms of relating to it right away, but it's always interesting when I go on the road now, right? When I'm on the road and I'm away from the family, I know that when I come home, I'm like, wow, like I really miss the family. Makes me appreciate the family more. Small example, but it's that feeling. Play for that feeling. It's that same, when I come home, it's like, man, I missed it. And it intertwines the same exact way with young athletes of where are you missing not being around it? Are you having a chance to be like, I can't wait for that season to start? Right. Because that feeling of missing it definitely creates this energy of, yeah, here we go. We're going again, right? We're getting after it. An example I see all the time is high school season. Even the kids that do play year round, I see the players that are the more high-end kids, they end up getting so excited to go play high school season. Even though some of these kids play full year round, they get excited to go play high school. Why? Because they know they're about to go dominate. They know they're going to be, I'm the man, I'm the best. And so they're so excited to get back to high school season. And they've got that initial 6, 7, 8 weeks of like, I'm so pumped to get back to playing high school, because they miss the feeling of being the man, because they don't get that on the regular tier 1 team. They don't get that feeling of it's just you and you're the best. They miss that feeling.
Yeah, and a few high school players can really take a whole, like at least in our area. I mean, every area is different, but like,
That's another example I can relate to of
course.
You see that, so it's,
well, in the crowds, like, youth hockey, you don't get like a crowd.
No, you don't get a few hundred people.
High school, they've got
200, 300, 400 people. It's cool. It's cool for a kid that age that's never seen it. Right, it's pretty awesome.
Well, play for that feeling, right? It's fun.
That feeling, of course.
It's fun, and it's not as, I would assume, as physically demanding as their regular season team.
100%. It's right. It's easier. It's more relaxed. Do whatever you want.
Yes.
There's no structure to it. They're basically free to roam and do their thing. So of course, they're released. Oh yeah. So we see those different parts of that, but that fire, right, does get created by these players who are all year long doing their stuff, and then they go back and it's like, well, there it is. There's that fire again.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Like, you're here all the time. I don't really miss you, but when you go away, I'm like, oh, that guy, the one that's here sometimes. Yeah, it'd be nice to have him.
You see the life you created? You locked me up. I'm in prison now, and now I can.
You're the one in prison. Okay. But like, I do think, so obviously we're like complete opposites in our sports world upbringing, right? Like, I didn't play a sport. I went to overnight camp, and I think about kids that don't get a chance to like go be kids, don't get a chance to go do kids camp stuff, like non-sports. Like, I'm not saying, a hockey camp here, but like it is totally different, because I'm like, what do you mean you never get to go to camp? Why do you have to be so committed to one sport in the off season when like
Yeah.
It's not like you sit on your butt all day at camp. You're playing soccer, you're rock climbing, you're, volleyball. Like you're physically active. Like it's actually quite exhausting when I think about what I used to do at camp. But like I would always have the feeling of sadness that wasn't something that the hockey or the athletes could experience.
What was that song?
Also.
Summertime Sadness. I've got that summertime. But it's a reality. Like it's as an example.
But you didn't know because it's just different.
Yeah.
But
no, it's a great example. What do you guys think on that end?
So we've got Aaron. I always find these debates interesting. Do you think the fire went anywhere, or the way in which people show their passion and use downtime has evolved and changed? Don't we have a tendency to romanticize the past? Can the game be the same it was 20 years ago? Can you prepare the same way for it? We purposely give at least 4 weeks off from everything. Our son used to play lacrosse but didn't want to pursue it because it required a lot of driving. Since I'm assuming middle school doesn't have a team.
Exactly. So many great points on that end, and that was exactly something we were going to talk about, and of where did it go anywhere? That's the belief of what I see with players and all that. No, it didn't. It didn't go anywhere. But a great example of that's exactly it. Of that, what's happened is as the game's evolved, I think you have a lot more people involved now than we did in any sport. I think it's just there of where the romanticizing of that chance, the expectation of, and that was one of the things I put in my notes, was that I talked about the expectations are it's NHL or bust. A lot of people have gotten involved in youth sport in general because of, you romanticize man, what if I
or D1
or Division I, whatever it is,
college,
But to get that college scholarship became a thing. Playing in the NHL became a thing. So because of social media, because of hearing more and more, this expectation got created of, man, wow, what if I become? The dream has been sold, right? There's a great book.
The dream was always there.
So, no, it was always there, but that's the point of that. The passion is still there for the players that naturally still wanted that. But what's changed is there's more people when it comes to parents, expectations, adults in the room, pushing the envelope of, well, wait a second, like you have a chance to play. Don't you want to play in the NHL or Division I? Coaches, we're all guilty of that. Like I remember as a young coach, I would do the same thing of where I get so mad at a group of kids that were younger, where if they didn't end up, and this was, a decade ago, whatever, even probably as early as, 8 years ago, 7 years ago. Yeah, exactly. But you have that sense of you're on the ice with a group of kids and you have this expectation of when they're not working hard, you come down on all of them because do you guys realize, how hard it is to make it to the NHL? Do you know what the data is, all that stuff, right? Everybody likes to point out 0.02% chance to play, 2% chance. So that expectation, all of us would put on kids, and I still hear from coaches today of we're still putting on that expectation of creating this storyline of, do you know how hard it is to make it at that level? And everybody coaching-wise is operating on, you got to work harder. Don't you want to make that level? Parents are on board too. So the voices, the influencers in the room are all doing what? We're pushing this narrative of, don't you want to be the best in the world? Don't you want to be that? And what hit me after years of coaching, realizing they don't all want it like that. And we're totally messing up. We haven't caught up with the times of everyone talks about how hard it is to make it, but how many kids want to actually make it? How many kids want to actually, and that brings it back to another part of what Aaron's talking about there of where there's the other side of the coin of where to make it to that NHL or Division I level or the highest levels, there's this other side that we don't talk enough about the commitment level. That's like, if you don't have that commitment level, you don't have a prayer of making it.
And that's not a commitment level that someone could drag you through.
Exactly. You have to love wanting to eat right all the time, being in the gym all the time, working on your skills all the time, being in the car, sacrificing things that normal kids do all the time. You have to have this other thing inside of you that's like, no, I just love it that much. Like one of our bloodliners, we're dealing with that where it's an interesting scenario where mom is struggling with the fact that, well, my kid, I believe in education. I want my kid to be in an environment where it's all about education, all that. But my kid is great in education. My kid does a great job. He's going to a good school. He's doing great, all that stuff. But he's like, but mom, I want to be in an environment where it's hockey. They love it that much. And there's a disconnect. where she can't relate. She's like, but I grew up in a house of academia and I don't understand how to relate to it. And I have to point out and go back to, I know, I get how hard that is, but you have to realize it's his life. He's the one feeling that. He's the one that wants that. He's the one that's coming to you and saying it. You're not forcing anything. You're forcing the other side.
Right.
But what you have to realize is he wants this other side. He wants that.
Well,
and that's the battle that goes on but that's what I mean of that energy that exists. That's the energy that I pointed out to her. I'm like, but that's the energy. And he's going to be a Division I player. That's the energy that you have to realize is natural for this kid. No one's forcing it upon him.
For sure.
He has it.
But where I think one of the bigger issues, and I think it applies to everything what we're saying, and the quote is the amount of pressure of the making it too soon.
Yes.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with if you're a mite and you never want to leave the ice. That's awesome. But that doesn't mean that you should train your mite to go play in the NHL.
Yeah.
At some point, we have to let the kids be kids.
Yes.
And we're stealing childhood from them, and they may not make it or whatever. But to assume that maybe a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old isn't showing signs yet, right, of maybe the commitment level. But like those years are building the love of the game. You have years later on to when you need to understand or grow maturity around commitment. Just because you are not 10 years old and not committed to getting into gym and doing all the stuff and never wanting to stop, just because that's you at 10 doesn't mean that's your life sentence.
Exactly.
And I think we're just putting so much pressure on too soon. I think all of this existed. I just don't think we ever saw it as young as mites and squirts and peewees. I think second year peewee is when I remember things getting a bit more serious, things being like in that realm. But what that's to me the biggest difference. It's
100%.
You're taking the pressure you used to put out a 16-year-old and now you're applying it to a 9 and 10-year-old.
Yep.
And you're not giving them a chance to love the game. They should just go to play to play. That doesn't mean they shouldn't develop and get better, but it shouldn't be about, I'm making a name for my kid nationally. Like, fuck off. Like, that's the biggest bunch of shit. Let your kid be a kid. They've got the rest of their life when they're older if they want to choose to be known nationally. Like, let them, sorry, I'm on my...
No,
because to me, that's where the fire goes. Because you burn it out before they turn 12.
Bingo.
That's where it goes because they don't want to do it anymore because they haven't had a chance to step away. We as adults in the room, we can get excited. Wow, that 10-year-old flies. He's got hands like butter. I get all that. You get excited. You see them on the ice. But we're building up these 10-year-olds and then guess what? Puberty hits and who the hell knows what's going to happen. Exactly. And you're building them up to fall when we don't need to. Let them all just learn to love the game because we need this industry, or if we like hockey as a whole, we like watching it on TV, you still need people to be fans for life. There's still plenty of business opportunities in ice hockey. There's front office staff. There's trainers. There's athletic trainers. There's like 1,000 which ways. There's team doctors, team dentists. Like there's literally a million ways to be involved in your sport. But don't try and get a 10-year-old locked into some crazy ass training schedule because they deserve to be a kid. When else can you be a kid?
Yep.
You can't do it when you're older because everyone's saying you're older now. It's time to get serious.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's my.
Yep.
Sorry.
Spot on.
That's
Spot on.
No. It's moved up. That's what I think the bigger issue is.
100%. The trickle down effect is huge. So much brilliance in that statement. Mic drop.
Okay, bye. See you later.
The show is over. Literally.
Like, there's nothing else to say.
But no,
let your kids be kids.
It's spot on. It's spot on. Like this is something where, I make the argument all the time, right? Of where what you notice about the players that are going to make it no matter what, right? Like NCAA had it for a while. I think they still use the mantra and all that stuff, but we talked about this right off the bat. What inspired Bloodline? What inspired us initially to get into the mindset, performance, high performance, and really zoning on what really matters from what we're taking away from this experience. Fundamentally, what inspired it was that we're in this environment, youth sport environment, whatever it is. We're getting an education. We're getting a life education along the way that school does not provide. No matter how you spin it, the experience of school doesn't provide these emotional up and down and how to handle adversity and all these things. Like it does to an extent, but not the way sport does, with a team environment and kind of collaborate, communicate. It's two different systems, right? So what's so wild about it is that no matter how you spin it, we're educating youth athletes on a level that's geared towards the 1% that's looking to make it. Our model is based on, you don't want to make it, you got to work hard, you got to make it to the NHL or Division I. That's what it's all about. And coaches, everyone's convinced that that's what everybody wants, is that kind of education of, we gotta tailor to those couple kids that really want it that badly. So we make the whole system from U8, U10, U12, U14 all about that type of education. Where we saw what was lacking was the other 99% of like, hold on, we're not teaching the soft skills of the life skills that are important. We're not really getting to the nitty-gritty of understanding the collaboration, the communication piece, the understanding the grit, and pointing it out, owning your process. Because at the end of the day, that's the juicy part. Because the reality is, not all of these kids are going to be professionals at hockey, but they are all going to be professionals at life. All of them are going to be professionals at life at one point. So here you are, you have a great environment, a great opportunity to create this, foster this environment to teach all these life skills that no matter how we all try to argue it, those same kids that want to play in the NHL or want to play Division I are still going to do it with that same education that they're receiving, that now, if we changed it up and made it more about communicating, collaborating, understanding my own process,
creativity.
Why am I doing this, creativity, all that. If we were still pushing on that envelope, everyone's going to still turn out the way they're going to turn out, no matter how you spin it. Because at the end of the day, it is going to come down to, what do you want to do the most? Play for that feeling. That's never going to change. And that brings it back to Aaron's point of, it's never going to change.
That's what you want to find as a job when you're older. Like if you're not playing hockey, like you don't want a job that you hate going to every day. You want to play for that feeling every day with what you do.
And that's the opportunity we have to identify from the emotional parts. But you're right. That's the part that drives me nuts about the pressure we put on these kids when they're 9, 10 years old. And we've talked about this before, that
11,
what you're doing to their nervous system. Why? Their nervous system. I remember a kid, one of our 9 years old. I'm so nervous, coach, about this weekend's game. Why, buddy? What's going on? We're playing the #1 team in the nation. 9 years old. 9 years old, worried about the #1 team in the nation. Are you kidding me? This is what's on this kid's mind. He's worried about playing the #1 team in the nation at 9 years old. Right. Are you kidding me?
So this is why I want to bring up the video, the How to Hockey.
Yes.
Okay.
So and then Jim, we got you, buddy.
Yes,
we're gonna come back.
but this is a correlation. So I'm sure, and give me a like if you have, that video from How to Hockey with the little boy who's 4 years old, and he was out for his Learn to Play, or whatever it was, segment on the ice. I mean, it went totally viral, like millions and millions of views on Twitter. People Magazine picked it up, Mashable, I mean, Business Insider, like literally this little kid hockey video was everywhere.
Super cute.
I hope you guys saw it. But I'm assuming most of you have, because literally like every person I know like sent me the video. Like, did you see this? Did you see this?
Oh, yeah, it was sick.
Why do we like the video? I think it was 6. I want to be fair. Why do we like that video so much? Because it was real and honest, and he was having fun, waiting for his McDonald's. Like, you know, we connected with that because of the innocence that was there. Counting his steps on it. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, this is not where I'm supposed to be. Oh, wow, coach, you skate fast. Like, if that doesn't sum up play for that feeling, like, look at the smile. Like, that is the innocence. And like, are you telling me that it should be that much more different for him 3 years from now at 9 years old?
Exactly.
No, like we have our whole lives to be serious or worried about competition and things like that. But like, we need to be the grown-ups in the room, and we need to drive the ship, and we need to encourage our coaches to make sure that our young ones are still having fun, because otherwise they're going to be, you know, I know Hockey Canada's losing numbers. People are dropping out. They're not signing up. You know, I don't know about USA Hockey, but like, if you want to keep kids in the sport, if you want them to continue to learn the life lessons that they can learn in this environment, be more well-rounded, then you got to make it fun.
Bingo. And that's the difference, right? Is I love Daniel Pink. He has, it's been a while since I read this, but he talks about In a Whole New Mind. And he talks about how the right brain thinkers are basically, that's the skill of the future. That's what's going to be the most valuable mind of the future.
Daniel Pink. When you said Pink, I thought you meant the artist, like the singer.
No, it was Daniel or is Dan Pink?
Anyway. No, but I was just thinking.
But yeah, but he talks about the concept of abundance, right? That we live in that world of abundance.
Your
and all that
spit is
stuff,
abundant.
Right? My spit's abundant. But the point is this, right? Is that's the difference now, is that we live in a time where we have abundance of information. Everybody has the how-to guide of how to play. You can learn so much you just do a little bit of research online. You can find how to stick handle, how to shoot, how to pass. You can find all kinds of information of X's and O's, of systems to run. You can find any book out there, absolutely anything of information that you need is out there. If you want to find it, it's out there. Just do a little research. But the difference is, in today's world, is that we're not realizing we have all the information. It's over. You want to develop, it's all out there. The information, it's not like somebody has something that's like, oh, wow, what doesn't exist and how do we have the proof of that, right? The example of how did I get Roger Nielsen's coaching clinic? How did I get that opportunity? Because, you know what, Vinny? What made you so unique, what we love about your message is you're talking about the connection piece. You're talking about how to, for coaches, we have a ton of X's and O's people coming. We have plenty of X's and O's. We don't have anybody talking about how to connect with players. Would you come do that? Boom. On a list with all these NHL coaches. It was sick to see it. And why? Because that connection piece. And that brings it to the environment. That's the part, and that's what Aaron said there, of adults consistently ruin it. It's not that we're ruining it intentionally. It's because we don't realize what kind of experience are we creating? The right brain thinking, what kind of experience are we intentionally creating for the players with the information that we have? Because we have all the information. It's all there of what to do. We know what you need to do to develop. We have the X and O's.
I don't think people are focusing at all on the other part, though.
Right. But
there's no education there. Now there is.
Well, of course, right. But that's the point of where, how are we able to slip through the crack and go, and we're literally doing this online, and we're like, this was in the beginning. You guys are crazy. Then as time's going on, well, wait a second, you're onto something, to now, boom, on stage with a bunch of NHL coaches, sending a message that's like, you know what? Hey, with all these people, come influence our people. How does that happen? That happens because of we are missing a huge, it's like the 1A and 1B. The 1A is the information is there. The X's and O's are all there. But the 1B, the connection piece, which is equally important. Yes, you have to have knowledge. Of course, you've got to have knowledge of, we have enough to know. We have a whole freaking slew that's there. Yep, all the knowledge you need is there. We have a sliver inside the industry with coaches who are the influencers that actually work with these kids, parents. How many of them, we grew up in the same thing? How many of us understand that this is a real thing that we have to do? The kids growing up now, they're feeling it and understanding it, but we're heading into the same reality of, if we don't connect the dots of life skills are more important to teach at the youth level than the X's and O's, we're going to deal with the same thing. The same repercussions are coming. The same things are coming. Because we don't look at sports as an education. We look at sports as a game. It's just a game. That's not the place to educate. These kids, they don't need to.
I disagree to some. I disagree.
It's not about, but there's a lot of people that, on that part, that fight it. Yeah. Unconsciously, consciously.
But colleges want to see extracurriculars. Why?
Yeah.
Because they know that there's value in that. You're not just like, they want to see what else you're doing besides just school.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why
100%.
People,
But it's like people look at it as it's a different thing. Yeah. Well, save the communication needs. That should be taken care of at home.
Right.
Right? What do you mean that should be taken care of at home? Like, that should be taken care of no matter what you do. Like, it should be a part of the culture. Creativity. Right? Athletes are artists. We don't give them that ability to go and expand, right? USA Hockey ADM lays out this whole thing, and I'm a fan of what they're trying to do. At the core of what they're trying to do, it's nice. I love that you're trying to influence people to think about that. But where my issues come in is that, okay, we've got these drills, and there's a lot of different, some good drills and all that, but that's where the genius of a Mark Verschinnen comes in. Verschinnen looks at these drills and sees, okay, these are drills that are all going in and out of the cones and work on your skills and all that. He's adding somebody chasing you down. Now it's creating a competitive streak, right, of where you have to beat somebody else that is at your level. Or he's changing it as, okay, let's do this drill, but you can go any direction you want. Creativity, critical thinking. Learn and go through this and make up your own maze as you go, but you're learning the same skills, but now you have to think creatively through it. It's all these different pieces that we have the opportunity to do it, but majority out there of coaches do what? They've got their plan, they've got their playbook, and they stick to it. They're stuck to it, and it's thinking outside the box. No. And it's not because they don't want to. They're afraid. They don't trust that they have the ability to do it. And this influences everybody else.
Well, and I think that they're like, oh, if I try this, the parents are going to come down on me. And I think
what I dealt with when I was doing the colonial stuff, absolutely. It's the truth. What do you mean they're doing soccer and lacrosse on the ice? This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. This is nuts.
Well, but I want to also point out that I think as adults, whether we're coaches or as parents, sometimes wearing both hats, right?
Yep.
We want for our kids, right, what we didn't have. Or like, oh, if I would have had this kind of training when I was your age, like it would have helped me so much, right? And we're excited, and like our intentions are coming from a good place.
100%. Yeah.
They're all coming from a good place.
It's all good.
But I think
everybody wants to do the right thing.
Also, as adults, right, we love things that fit nicely into. I was just having this conversation with one of our coaches today that like we want to be able to just follow the system.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to teach this, check. We're going to follow that. Good. And if I follow along here, right, that like it's the system, it's done for me. I don't have to worry about it. Not because I don't want to, but because I don't fuck it up or whatever it is. But like the same way, I want to lose weight. Just tell me exactly what I need to do. Tell me everything I need to do and I will do it. But sometimes it's just not that black and white. Exactly. And I think we're always looking for that. We're always looking, but just give me the directions from point A to point B. Well, guess what? My directions are going to be certainly different than your directions and this one's directions and that one's directions.
Exactly.
So that's where I think we kind of get stuck, right? Our coaches get stuck, parents get stuck. We all have the best intentions with what's going on because as a society, we've kind of lost track of the idea that creativity, think outside the box, development.
Easy. Just look online. It's there for you, right?
Yeah.
This person played at this level. They told me to do this. We're so reliant on somebody else. We got the information. This is what I was told I need to do.
Yeah.
We're not teaching people,
This is
no,
going to make a
you
kid
need
a
to know
good skater. This is what I should be doing.
Right. Like we're not teaching, no, you need to know yourself first.
Because one kid at that rink made it to the NHL. Now every kid has to follow the same system because it's going to work the same for everybody.
Exactly. And this is where the
argument.
And
he was on the rink at 6 years old. So my kid has to be on the rink at 6 years old. Exactly. But it's all from a good place.
No, exactly. Everyone, right. And that's the part where as a parent, and Jim Wiggins on that part, right?
Yes,
right.
Here we go.
I heard that players can be two basic types: hockey players and those who play hockey. The hockey player learns to love the grind, and the one who like to play hockey doesn't. Can you explain the elements of having the fire or not? In your experience, is this correct? And can your child transition? Sorry, guys, I'm getting
transition from one type to the other as they mature.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the fire when the kids are younger, right? Are they watching? Are they looking at film and trying to learn, right? So this can apply to anything, but do you see them naturally gravitating towards looking at things that are like, I want to learn more about this? Do you see them naturally at home, going outside or in the house, doing something that's geared towards that art or that craft or whatever, or that sport, right? Whatever it is. Do you see them just naturally doing it, right? Like that's the part that we're always analyzing with our kids and we're looking at. Is that we look at with Naomi. I'm always saying it, and I always look and I go, she's probably going to be a singer and do something in that end because I see she just naturally is creating songs on her own. She's singing, she's performing, she's naturally doing it.
She told me she wants to be a triple threat.
Exactly.
She wants to sing, dance, and act. I'm like, oh God, help us.
But that's the part that ends up happening, right? Is that the fire is something that's why we talk about the unconscious so much is you can't fake that. You want to see what's naturally coming out based off the influence that's around. So if you can identify what those natural tendencies are, is that if you're seeing the fire towards something that just naturally occurs, because kids don't know any better. Kids don't know. Like it's not that like for them, it's just like, dude, especially when they're younger, right? Especially,
it's almost very stoic.
Yes, it's like when they're younger and they're doing that stuff, right? They're in that place of where they're looking at it and it just, you naturally see those tendencies pop up and it's naturally what they want to do. It's just, it comes out of like, they have this feeling inside of, I'm gravitating towards that. And you just see them doing certain things that just pop up. That's like, they're doing that. They're doing that. Like, look, they want to play. They're coming to you. Hey, can I go skate more? Can we go do this? Can we go work with this person? They just naturally come to you without you having to say a word to them. They're naturally doing it. So that's number one thing I see when it comes to the fire is, do you see just natural behavior popping up that shows you, there it is. They're naturally showing a gravitation towards that's the fire. Because when we look at our guys that are at the top, that's what Lou, my brother, love you, buddy. Troy, what's up? What's up? Ted, how we doing? Coach Ted, Mark, how we doing, guys? But that's the part to answer that question that you see. Now, from a maturity standpoint, yes. Can the fire come in later on? Absolutely. Because when you're younger, you're still exploring. You're still exploring. There's players that you don't even know. You know what? They love to do other stuff. They're doing all these different things, and they're trying out all kinds of stuff. And then later on, they realize, well, I like doing 3 things, right?
I mean, have you changed your mind about something now that you didn't feel the same way before? I'm willing to bet, yeah. Like,
yeah.
I used to hate reading.
Exactly.
Now I enjoy reading. Like,
exactly.
Now I look forward to time when I can sit and read. Like,
exactly.
I used to never want to sit in quiet.
Yep.
Ever. Like noise, music, noise in the background.
Yep.
Now I will gladly take a few minutes of peace and quiet.
Exactly.
So we all evolve.
So physically,
in our life
one of the things that I can give as an example that happens there is physically, I've seen players when they matured at 14 or 15, and they physically went and they decided to go to the gym and they got stronger. And you saw them go from, yeah, I like to play, to, wow, now I've got the fire. They're like, holy cow, this newfound strength. They're like, whoa, this newfound ability that now they're way more confident because now they're able to perform differently, goes through the roof. And it's like, I want more.
Yeah. Puberty.
Puberty, exactly. So yes, can it change? When you feel that sense, that's why I play for that feeling. Again, it comes back in, is that suddenly you have that feeling inside of like, whoa, I can do more with this. Whoa, this is cool. Boom. Now, because you feel more confident that you're able to experience a different level of it, now you fall in love with it even more.
Yeah.
Right? It's a relationship. It's just a relationship that gets built that suddenly there's a deeper trust that happens from inside of you that, yeah, you can mature and you can change 100%.
I want to say, though, as parents, this is why we have to be so overly cautious of how we label things. Mm-hmm. Like, you've given a definition of 2 players. How many of you heard both and assigned one being good and one being bad?
Yeah.
Why?
Yep.
It's only good or bad if we choose to make it so, right? Like, it doesn't, why is one that like has the fire early versus one that maybe doesn't but has a lot of skill but still likes it? Like, one doesn't have to, it doesn't, there is no good or bad. Exactly. Like, we have to stop trying to, I feel like, pigeonhole
intellectualize
people, intellectualize, put people in categories and boxes that they're just supposed to stay in because at 10, 11, even 12 years old, I mean, our coach, George, he didn't even really start playing until how old?
15, 16.
So, I mean, like, yeah. we want to intellectualize, want to make sense when we're like, oh, does this make sense? We're playing competitive hockey. I want to make sure this is the right role. But, like, we have to stop with the labels of whether it's good or bad or, you know, I mean, save the labels of good or bad for shit that's really fucked up. Like, or really, really great. But this in between of needing to put people in boxes and needing to assign things to make sense for ourselves is where I think we get into trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Too many F-bombs. Like, let's settle it down.
Too much coffee.
Yeah, exactly. It's enough. But the whole point, right, is this, is that it comes back to the fundamental reality of, yes, the labeling is such a huge part. But again, it brings back to that point. We live in a time where people believe education, intellectual, more reading, more information, more. We're just convinced of the more information I learn, the better I'm going to get. The more you tell me how to do it, the better I get. That's not the truth. I found, and again, you guys tell us, what have you learned more from? From somebody telling you how to do something, or from you doing it and going, oh, I feel it. Oh, okay. Yeah, let me adjust this. I experienced something. Yeah. I actually felt the feeling and go, oh, okay. Yeah, okay, I got it. Like, one example, again, another sample of so many different ways. One of the things I deal with this time of the year is players. Just had a player in the last couple of days. I don't want to go to that team because I'm not ready to be around, 20-year-olds. I'm too young to be around those type of players. Hasn't visited, has no idea if that's the truth, is just in their mind creating this narrative and the story that's like, that's it. I can't do that because. But if you go there and you actually feel and experience, now you have actual proof to go off of and talk about it and say, now what do you feel? Because I found 99% of the time of the stories, and probably higher than that, is literally the story that gets created in our heads. We miss out on opportunities of not doing. I see it so often. I see it so often with parents, coaches, players. more information, more information, more information. Talk to this parent, talk to that parent, talk to this person, talk to this person. You keep talking to everybody, talk, 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 and you get yourself into such an intellectual frenzy that you never actually did. You never actually did and experienced something, right? When we first started Bloodline, I jumped in. I did. Was I great at it at the beginning of like going and talking about the science and breaking it down? And players look at me like, boring. The first year or two, it's like, okay, coach, we like you. Keep talking more about hockey. Don't talk about this mindset stuff. It's just, I get it, but it's boring. I had to adapt. I had to create it and put it in hockey tape, hockey language. Oh, so that's how it relates. That's what you mean by that. Okay, cool. If I didn't go fail, if I didn't go do these presentations and go do this stuff and do, there's no way I get to the point that I am today without doing, because I had all the information. I had it. That was one of the things, my coach would tell me all the time. He'd say, dude, you know the information. You don't need any more. You don't need more education, man. You don't need, just go. Make plays. Go do. Same thing as a player, you tell. Same thing to adults. More books. Read more info. So what? You can read all the info in the world. You can read all the information in the world. It's like Good Will Hunting, right? You can sit there and sound smart. You can sound smart in today's world. Oh my God, that guy sounds brilliant. You sound brilliant, but you're not brilliant if you didn't experience it and do it. That's the fundamental reality. You have to do. You have to live, experience. And that's the fight that goes on with everybody, is that there's so many at the youth level. I see so many coaches talking about hard work. You know how hard it is to make it to the NHL? You know how hard it is to play Division I hockey? No coach of a 9-year-old or 10-year-old or 11-year-old, no coach, I don't know how hard it is. Can you tell me how hard it was for you to make it? Since you keep telling me how hard it is, can you explain to me how hard it is to make it in this world, since you apparently know how hard it is? Or are you just saying stuff because you heard a story and a tale from a legend of this guy said this and that? So you say that stuff, again, copyright infringement from the people that actually did it, right? You run around thinking that you know what you're talking about when you don't know. You're talking about from a place that you think. And that's the issue we have inside the industry as a whole. We have too many people that think they know the answers. The people that know the answers don't come out, get themselves, go deep into this, educate, child development, understand it, so we can articulate this to bring it back to the younger people and say, stop with the madness. Stop with the madness. It's all bullshit, but you have all these influencers telling you otherwise, who don't have the right to tell you because they don't know themselves. They didn't go through it to be able to go and influence you and get mad at you and all that stuff. They don't know how hard it is. They don't know. That's the fundamental truth and reality of youth sports right there.
Well, it's life too.
Parents, coaches, owners, we're all running around selling this thing that most don't know what that thing actually is. They don't know. Majority of the influencers that are out there that are telling you these things that you need to do and all that stuff, they didn't actually experience it themselves to be able to educate, to be able to give you a sense, a feeling of, here's what really is going to happen. But we listen to them.
But even if they could tell us, it doesn't mean that that's still their experience, not ours, and It's what it meant to them, not what it means to us.
Exactly.
So two things. I feel like one, as a society as a whole, kids, parents, whatever you want to talk about it, like we're allergic to being uncomfortable. We're allergic to being uncomfortable. We will go so far out of our way to not be uncomfortable about a situation.
Exactly.
But, and that's sometimes you got to listen to your gut, but sometimes you have to be like, well, why? What is really the driving force here? Yeah, I could try something new, but don't be so allergic to being a little bit uncomfortable and trying something different. Mm-hmm. And I think kind of a little bit of a correlation is I think of group projects in school. And this is talking about more like, I guess, high school level. Mm-hmm. So I'm obviously an outgoing person. So when it would go from traditional, just sit at your desk and listen. Yeah. And I was like, you guys are going to break up into groups and get a chance to do a project. Yeah. Well, one, I'd love that, but I'm social. So there's other people that probably
experiential learning. Yep.
However, when you get to sit in a group, and this is outside of sports, this is in school. Well, oh wow, you do it that way? I would never have thought to do it that way. All of a sudden, even though maybe you're shy, even though you maybe weren't so comfortable because you have to like talk out loud instead of just take your notes, but like now all of a sudden you're in an environment where you're being exposed to how other people work. You know, maybe there's the slacker, there's the leader there, but like, oh, how did you get that? That's cool. I wouldn't have thought of that. And then, and that's, but doing group projects is like kind of a simulation here of like,
Correct.
you know, like being able to, maybe it's not the way I do it. Maybe I can learn by seeing how somebody else would do it. Even if I still decide after that this is better for me, but at least I've been exposed to something.
Exactly.
We just have to stop creating boundaries and walls and stories because we don't want to be uncomfortable, because that's life.
100%. And that's what I've been diving into recently is just picked up a book on this of the experiential learning of like understanding it's about doing it and learning through doing, not through teachers and everybody, right? And Mark points it out, right? With colleges, yeah, it's the same exact thing, right? It's you sit and you're lectured to, coaches sit there and tell you, do it this way. But there's no, but you know what? But what if I did it a different way and this worked for me? What if I did it this way and I'm still getting the same result? I'm getting the result. Ultimately, you're trying to get me to do and make something happen. But if I know that, this is why we make the argument of the 95% unconscious. If we teach according to what you naturally do, your instincts, as a performer, if we help to understand what your instincts are, now we can mold you around that to still get the same result we're looking for, but it's based around your genius. So now it's not this effort you have to put in. It's natural. There's no force. You just do it because it's a part of your nature. And that's a whole new ballgame of education, a whole new athlete, right? That again, we're running around proving it works. It's amazing to see how players take to it and go, it's giving them permission to even think that way. They're like, wow, this is so much easier that way. But it all stems from what? Identifying, understanding, this is my nature, right? Directing my daily behavior and doing the things that I know so unconsciously becomes normal, and owning, this is who I am. Stop trying to be somebody I'm not. Own who you are. And that's a whole, I am what I do, right? It's a whole nother world of doing that. That's the biggest issue you see with education, sports, and anything, is that we don't do enough. We don't provide an environment to do. The environment is what allows you to do, experiment, and go, all right, this was a mistake. This didn't work, but this works. Ah, this works. Do this more. But no, more info, more info, more info, more info.
Eric has a good question. I've coached for 30 years and I've never played pro. Are you saying I can't send a message because I didn't do it?
Not at all. Not at all. Right? Coaching for 30 years, you've been around other players being there, right? Is that you've been around the influence of seeing what other players did, right? So being locked in for 30 years like that, you've experienced a lot by seeing different cases and seeing who turned into what. You saw the attitude, the character on these players versus players that didn't, right? So because of that experience, it changes the game on that end. Now, I don't know your approach on how you're dealing with the players to get them to connect to it, right? I don't know how you're communicating the message. I don't know how much creative freedom you're giving them to help them learn, right? Are you telling them this is the way it needs to be? All that stuff. That part, I can't judge on it. But the amount of experience that you're getting on it is there, of like, you know, to be able to give back the information based off your experience is there as a coach. 30 years, it's a lot.
There are plenty of ex-pros who think they can teach because they played pro and are beautiful. That
completely agree. Coaching and playing are two different worlds. Completely agree. Not at all, like it's taken it to a whole different place of not at all judging of who didn't do and play at that level. What I'm saying is you've coached for 30 years. You've been doing it for a long time. So you've made mistakes. You've seen the process. So you've been able to grow and realize and learn, all right, I'm going to assume you have a way of coaching culturally. You have a way of picking players now that you know that you're going to bring into your culture. You know types of styles you don't want to bring in, all that type of stuff, right? Where the other side of the connection piece is that we're missing the boat on that part. And that's the part that I don't know. I don't know how players feel of what you're doing. Do you yell at them? Do you scream at them all the time? All that stuff. That's the missing piece of connection, right? Of how are we relating to get more out of them? That's the argument that I'm making of we're not doing enough of that part of it, right? But the doing part and all that, again, it's complex by nature because of exactly what you just wrote there. I don't have I can't sit here and give you the exact answers because I don't know your experience, to be able to say that. It's another generalized statement. Are you saying because I can't send a message that, because I never played pro? No, I'm not. I don't know enough about how you coach, what you do, all that stuff. I don't, right? Coaching is teaching. That is reality.
There's some differences.
No, not necessarily. Yeah. Nope. That's what I push on is teaching is a system. Teaching is I've got a 1-2-2 that I play, right? So we all have a system. Here's a system that you can follow. Coaching could be most of the time, is a totally different experience every year, right? Like this is one of the things we teach our coaches. Here's the system that we follow. Here's what we do. But the coaching, every group we have, every single player you encounter, you are going to literally have to coach differently because every player is different on how you get the information into their minds. They're two different worlds. And that's the part where if we put labeling on it, they are in fact two different things that we have to be able to look at and go, teaching is, yes, I've got a system down and I know the information that we need to go over. So teaching through the years, you might know exactly, yep, I'm comfortable with this information. Here's the information that I teach. But coaching is, well, now you have a totally different group, a totally different season coming up. How are you now going to coach this group to believe in what you're teaching? And that can be a totally different experience every single year.
Teaching is the tactic.
Yep.
Coaching is making sure it's sticking. So like
exactly. Using any means to,
right.
This kid needs it to be more fun. This kid needs maybe a kick in the butt. Like everyone's different. There is no one size fits all of coaching because you've got to look at every person differently. And you hear NHL people talk about this all the time of at that level, they coach independently. They manage everybody separately if you're going to be a successful organization. And that's no different of youth, juniors, it's all the same thing. Are you coaching them according to their specific needs, according to the teaching system?
And also, it's like you think about even like high school or college, you had certain professors, certain teachers that you like loved going to their class. And most likely they were the popular teachers in your school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they found a way to either make the information fun, or they found a way for it to resonate, exactly. Or it felt like you could apply it to something else in your life. Yep. That teacher is taking the same, everyone in the school is a teacher,
right? But
the one that's really getting the information to connect, the one that's really getting the kids to open their eyes and be like, wow, maybe I don't want to learn arithmetic or whatever, yep. But this person's found a way to make it connect to where I am and what I need to do. Yep. So that teacher actually coached in addition to teaching. Mm-hmm. So just like another example, because exactly. I was like take it out of hockey and make an example 100%. That, or like if you've ever hired a personal trainer, well, like you could hire 5 personal trainers and each one, even if they made you do the same exact exercises, each one's going to have a little bit of a different way to work with you. And exactly. Some of those ways are going to really resonate and some won't, but that's because they know what they need to do to get what they want out of you.
Exactly.
I mean that in all positive.
Yeah, of course. And Eric, another example, buddy, I'll give you is that with the difference between coaching and teaching, right? Teaching is, from a coaching world is, I know that if you just do this, you look at a player and you go, I know if you just go get in the gym or if you just go to the net consistently, if you just go do this, you're going to have so much success. I just know it. So because we know it from a teaching standpoint, we know the result. We already see it. If you do this, this is what's going to happen. But in the meantime, though, coaching then is this. If the player doesn't figure it out fast enough, right? If the player is struggling to understand the concept. So then what do we do? We get frustrated. We get pissed off. Then that energy field we give off to that player. You're stupid. You're an idiot. You don't get it. This is the stuff that comes off of a coach, right? So now you're getting, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So now because you're giving off this natural thing to a player that every player, every human being feels it. Quantum energy proves that you can say it all day long. I like you, but you can feel if you really like somebody or you don't. Let's not BS each other. Right? You can say all day, I like you, I talk to you and all that stuff. It's like, no, I can tell you don't like me. It's pretty clear, right? When you like someone versus not. So when that player feels and gets a sense of, coach hates me, man. He's getting pissed off at me. He's getting frustrated. I can't figure this out. I don't know why I can't figure it out. Why am I struggling, blah, blah, blah. The consideration is the coaching piece. Can you stop yourself, your own ego as a coach who's teaching and realize that it's you putting off this energy that you think this kid's stupid or you think this kid can't figure it out and realize, you know what? Be patient. Just keep teaching this kid. It's frustrating for me. I'm the one getting frustrated with the fact that this kid can't figure it out. But maybe this kid it's taken longer than expected. You be patient, keep working through it. this kid eventually will figure it out. Been there, done that. I know how hard that is as a coach. I know how hard that is. That was the number one thing when we did our coaching cert that every one of our coaches went through. Aha moments of like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way, of it's me. It's me and my reactions on how I'm influencing the environment. Actually, yeah, I didn't even consider that that's a thing. And it is. Argue it, we can go back and forth, right, and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, that is 100% a thing. So with the energy that I put off to my students and how I coach comes from me as the leader, right? So at the end of the day, that's the fundamental difference.
Might figure it out. LOL.
Might figure it out?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Like eventually they'll figure it out. Well, some might just.
No, exactly. But that's what sucks, buddy, is like it's the patient self. Listen, I have students too right now. One of the parents is on. He'll know exactly what I'm talking about, of where the figure it out process. Oh my God. If he was playing for me season after season after season, whoo, he'd be tough. He'd be tough to deal with because I understand how hard it is for him to figure it out. But you know what? I use the bamboo tree example. That's the one thing that always reconnects me is the bamboo tree, right? You water it for 5 years and you water it, but you never see it. You can't see it coming out of the ground and you can't tell what's going on, but you water it every day, every day, every day. I love that example because then, boom, after 5 years, what happens? 6 weeks, sprouts up 90 feet. And that's the way I see coaching, right? That's the way I view coaching is I know when it clicks and he figures it out, there's going to be so many other parts that are going to come together. And so as a dreamer, I dream about, I know it's going to come together. He's a young player. He works his butt off and eventually he's going to figure it out. But you know how much patience has been taking me on my end where I can see why coaches are frustrated with him, but that's the part as a coach. He's getting the same knowledge every other player's getting. But as a coach, it's on me of like, control, explain to him, what does he need? Patience, he's young, give it time, simplicity plus consistency, he'll get it.
One of the things that I mention a lot too is what your vision is for a player may not be the vision for themselves. So
important like fire in the eyes.
Like you may see this kid and the raw talent's there and you're like, oh my God, this kid is sitting on a freaking, like oh my God, I'm like so excited. But that may not be what he wants. Like you can't bring someone to the next level you want to bring them to. You can only bring them to the next level they're willing to go to. So, we talk about this all the time, right. And I talk about it with our coaches here that like, it's not always we are just the facilitator in the process. Yep. It is their world. It is their life. We're merely here to facilitate and assist in that process. Yep. You can give them the information in 25,000 different ways. And you know what? They may get a morsel, like a little teeny 1%, right? Out of all the things that you taught. But that 1% could change their life, but maybe it changes their life in a way you didn't envision for them. Exactly. But you've elevated them in their life in some way. And I know this probably sounds like hokey, but like it's so true because you think about things you've maybe picked up along your way, and like maybe someone's vision for you wasn't where, like right away you say, oh my God, I can see all this stuff for this kid. But maybe they're not ready for that.
Exactly.
Their next level might be like, wow, like truthfully, a lot of these players, if nothing else, if they pick up how to communicate well with others or how to have fun through exercise, and that's what they take with them the rest of their life, like you've done a great job. Like
learning how to manage your emotions, learning how to be consistent and realize. It
may just be a small thing. Exactly. It may, like maybe they had NHL potential, but you know what? That wasn't what you can't take someone somewhere they're not willing to go. So you can only focus on helping someone attain what they want for their next level, not where you see the path and because it's us. Like you were saying, we get frustrated. Oh my God, you could be doing this. You don't understand, but like they don't want it. Right. And you can't force that into them.
And that's so hard for all of us. Parents, coaches, that's the part of knowing yourself. Like literally there's players and coaches, right? That's literally what we invest our time into is the emotional reactions and the triggers that are happening of it's your own perspective. You don't know, right? How often players, I see it all the time. They create this narrative about coach hates me, this, that, it starts putting all these things in his head. I'm like, well, based off of what? What did coach say to you? Well, nothing. I just know he hates me. Okay. Well, did coach have a bad day? Is something going on? Did coach with their spouse get into a fight? Coach have a bad day at work? Something you don't know. Is there something else going on in the family that you don't know about from family, work,
Tired,
right? Exhausted. How do you know? I guess I never thought of it that way. Right. You don't know.
Are you your best self all the time?
Exactly.
No.
You don't know. And it's no different for parents of we're all part of this, right? Of like, you don't know. We ultimately don't know. So that's such a powerful, I don't know, is such a powerful statement for coaches of, I don't know if we're at, what's the one? There's one quote, I love it. The Spurs use it, right? The rock cutter of like, I'm tapping on this kid's mind, 499. And maybe it's the 500th time of boom, crack. Oh, now you crack the stone, right? It's like, we don't know that if we just keep tapping. And maybe this season I tapped on this kid's head 500 times, but next year when it goes to the new coach, this coach taps twice. And now that coach is like, oh, I'm brilliant. Look what I had done. This kid figured it out under my guidance. No, it's because probably there was other coaches tapping away for so many years and creating that influence to like, you're seeing the same thing over and over again. Like that's what we see with our patterns. We always bring our players back to, hey, listen, let's look at the patterns of what's happening now in your performance. You've now heard this from me, from another coach, from another. This is now through the years. You're now noticing there's a common denominator coming from all these other experts that are seeing what's happening with your performance. At what point do you start listening to that guidance and buy into that and realize now you're hearing it from multiple sources, seeing the same thing. And some people are only seeing you for a week. Some people are only seeing you for a couple of weeks. And they're deducing this right off the bat. So at what point do you start buying into that knowledge? And that's the part that you're always chipping away. And everyone's doing that. We're all working together. But from a simplicity standpoint, this is what it comes back to is, are we consistently providing that genius to that player to help them unlock and realize and buy into it on the 500th time we're tapping? I get it now, right? The 5 years of watering, I get it now. That's what we're all waiting for. But are we creating these individuals, right? Are we giving them, when we talk about the fire in their eyes, there's so many options. Are we providing them with 20 options and never giving them 2 or 3 that are like, but this is your genius. This is your genius. Like, just allow your natural force to just buy into these things that are you. That's why the unconscious is such an important part of developing performance, because we all have a natural way of doing things. And so if we can tap into that source and build around that, we're going to have a ton of high performers in their own way, because now you're teaching them according to what they do as individuals. And it's a beautiful thing to watch unfold. It's an unbelievable thing to watch unfold. But if we keep pushing on our own vision, right? If as a coach, like this is one thing, this is time of year where coaches and other people get pissed off at me of, you could have told him where to go. No, I don't do that. I don't tell our players. I guide them along to figure out their natural instincts. I love the unconscious development because I just know I'm guiding you. I'm influencing you to ask questions, to think about this, consider this, because I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you what to do because you've got to feel it for yourself. Play for that feeling. And that's just the reality of it. But playing for that feeling is, my job is to guide you towards, hey, did you consider these 1 or 2 things? Do you feel how much easier it feels when you do that? Doesn't that feel right? Doesn't that feel good when you do that, when you play the game that way? It does, coach. Great. Then that's your job. Let's produce more of that feeling. Why not? You can. You can play the game. That's your thing. If you could do more of that, your shot is your thing. Your skating is your thing. Your stick handling move, that one move that you have, you can create more. That's your thing. Let's build your experience around that. You're an artist. That's your genius. But no, coaches, a lot. We want to do it this way. Little boxes. I believe you can do this. Doesn't matter what I believe. It matters what they believe. And that's the difference.
You're a real passionate guy.
Thank you. Pride, surprise, surprise. And players can, well, yeah, exactly. But they got to feel it, right? They got to, it's that feeling that's what's so powerful about the average person, 95% unconscious, is that we're not dedicating our time towards teaching according to that. Listen, how many coaches or parents out there, any one of us, right? Think about it. How many of you guys have seen something natural in somebody else? Wow, that person's naturally a good communicator. Wow, that analytically, man, that person's really good with numbers. Wow, this person's just really good at making other people, connecting with other people. You know, like those feelings we get about, wow, that person's just naturally good at that. Correct. So every player has that thing as a performer that they're naturally good at. That's what we need to be coaching and developing. Not if you're not a physical player, teaching you got to be physical. No, we have to help them understand, well, if you don't like being physical, well, at the end of the day, there's a performance piece to why I want you to be physical. I want you to separate and take the puck away. So let's approach this differently. Instead of you having to go hit, why don't we approach it where you get in the way and just take the puck away from the individual? Let's work on those skills instead, because that's the performance piece that I'm trying to teach you. You start doing that, now we have less of this emotional craziness, more fire. Because if you feel scared to do something, of course the fire is going to go away because you're scared shitless to do it. But if you feel like, oh, this feels easier. Oh, I love doing this. This is nice. I'm not forcing anything. Now you get excited to play.